Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back to talk about the originals. The final season starts with episode 501, titled Where You Left Your Heart, which premiered Wednesday, April 18th, 2018 on the CW. Let the very, very sad journey begin, because it's only been 20 minutes since the episode ended, and while it was a fantastic premiere, that just means it's the beginning of the end, and I don't know whether to be really happy to have new episodes or really very be sad that it's going to be the last episodes I'm going to get. But anyways, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other story reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to read over those. Also, very quick reminder, this is being made solely for fun. First impressions of the episode after I've watched them, of course, and I wanted to share with you all, especially with it being the final season. So take that as you will. I'm going to try to do this in 10 minutes. This is more going to be a very quick recap of what happened in the episode and then followed by what I thought about it. So I'm going to start the 10-minute clock and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So timeline-wise, I actually had to look it up to be more specific on how it relates to the Vampire Diaries. So for us, it's been 7 years since the events of the season 4 finale, that is episode 413. But in the world of the Vampire Diaries, the originals universe, it is the year 2026. So Hope was born on May 2nd, 2012. May 2nd birthday was sandwich sister, hey. So that makes her 14 years old in this episode. So wow, first off. Also, just to have a little mile marker, I guess you could say, the series finale of the Vampire Diaries, everything that happened before all those flash forwards that happened, took place in 2018 of the Vampire Diary universe. So this is 18 years later. Yes? I think I did my math right. Math is on screen. So, nope, not 18. Fool. I'm an idiot. So that's 9 years. I don't know why. No, that's 8 years. Ugh, I really need to do math more. But anyways, so yeah, it's been 8 years. So in that case, Caroline, for her, it's been 8 years. So have that as you will. But moving on to storylines for this episode, my God. Pretty much 2 of them I picked up on that were the main focus. First one being the fact that Hope created her own hybrid, making the 3rd hybrid in existence. And the second one being the events in New York City for the most part. I guess technically the 3rd one would take place in France. Technically. We'll talk about that too, though. So first storyline is that Hope manages to get suspended from the Salvatore boarding school for creating a hybrid in a crescent wolf. And she pretty much got paid to give her blood to a fellow wolf so that she can buy a ticket to go see her dad, who is in France. Or I don't know if she knew that he was in France or if the rumors were circulating from there. But anyways, Henry, the boy, or the crescent wolf, or the new hybrid, he ended up killing a New Orleans vampire when he went to go see Hope when she went back home. And now the factions are kind of infuriated by this invasion, and Hope tries to mediate between the factions. She does a great speech, by the way, about being involved and not turning to violence and all that and trying to keep the peace, so that was great. In New York City, we get Marcel proposing to Rebecca, only she's been given ultimatums when she doesn't give her answer, and ultimately she chooses not to marry him. Instead, she flees to France to have a little one-on-one with Elijah for as long as she can before the Hollow's powers take over. Also, with the 3rd storyline I just mentioned, we get Klaus in France. For the last 5 years, he's been creating his own moniker of Klaus the Mad, killing many people to the point that he's not answering anybody's calls. So Rebecca calls in Caroline to go track him down and talk some sense into him. There's that with happenings in France, because he also keeps getting too close to Elijah, and it's taking on geographical scales from the looks of it. So last scenes of the episode, though, show it's kind of a montage of things with Vincent's voiceover about tipping points and about knowing when they hit. But we do see a scene where Klaus talks to Hope for the first time in years through Haley's phone, though, which was found cracked and broken and alone by itself. And he declares that he's coming home after Hope tells him that Haley's missing. And also Vincent, the very last shot is Vincent sitting in the rain, which is of blood and not water. So there's that. Characters, this is going to be a new part, I think. We've got a lot, we met a lot of new characters. So Henry, like I said, is the classmate of Hope's that ended up turning into a hybrid. He is a part of the Crescent Pack, and Haley is his family's alpha. And he's the only one at the school who knows that Hope is actually Hope Michelson and not Hope Marshall. Also, we meet Declan, who is Haley's human chef boyfriend. He seems to be all in their relationship, while Haley's kind of hesitant about it. Also, we meet Roman very briefly. We don't even get a name for him. I had to look it up. But he's that cool student who was surprised that Hope got suspended. It looks like Hope may have a crush on him. So there's that. I remember him as Descendants Charming. He's the kid of Cinderella and Prince Charming. So that's why I recognize him first off. Also, we have Poppy, who was the vampire bartender at, I believe it was still Rusario's, and she ended up being killed by Henry, which started the whole factions igniting between each other. Also, we have Lucina, I think I said it right. She's the mother figure for Henry, and she's part of the Crescent Pack as well. Also, there's Greta. She was that redheaded vampire who was talking during that factions igniting when it came to how to deal with Henry. The redhead with very cool look. She was the one standing beside Josh. She didn't get a name. I had to look that up as well too. So there's that. Tidbit wise though, first thing was also that Klaus admitted to Elijah, who has no memory of him whatsoever, that Klaus hasn't seen Hope in 7 years, and he hasn't talked to her in 5 years. So 7 years matches up with the events of 413, but for some reason he hasn't spoken to her in 5 years, which I think I figured out why, and I'll get to that in a moment. But also, we get Freya deciding to go to Lebanon to be with Keelan, who is currently working there and has her contract being extended there after she had waited in New Orleans for Freya for 6 years. And then when she found a way to bring her family back together, she decided she needed to move on career-wise, and she's still in a relationship with Freya. And then she gave Freya the idea that for the many years that Freya has spent trying to save her family, Keelan wants Freya to spend 1 month equivalent to that in Lebanon with her. So if she spent 7 years trying to free her family, then she wants Freya to spend 7 months with her in Lebanon. Kind of like that. We also find out that Cole is married to Davina. How shocking is that? I mean, yeah, in 413 we knew he was going to propose to her, but to actually know that they did actually get married is just fantastic. We don't see Davina though, so at least we got that bit of tidbit. That's fantastic. Also, another tidbit is that Marcel has been constantly texting Josh over the years about the vampires in New Orleans. Pretty much Josh is like Marcel's mouthpiece in those meetings in New Orleans, which Vincent doesn't really like. So there's that. Also, we see Haley and Rebecca both seeming a little hesitant in their relationships, both with Declan and with Marcel respectively, and that is very relatable for sure. So moving on to most shocking moment of the episode, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. I'll work on that. Most shocking for me though was the fact that Caroline had Klaus admit that for the last 5 years he has been systematically killing off all of his enemies and the descendants of those enemies to protect his family, especially Elijah, because Klaus fears that Elijah is going to counter one of these enemies and have no memory of them. So he wants to protect him that way. But when doing so, he wants to create the myth and the rumored illusion that he has gone mad, he's just killing anybody so no one notices that he's killing off his enemies. So there's that. Plus, since it's been the last 5 years, I think that's why Klaus stopped talking to Hope, because he didn't want to talk to his daughter while he's consciously killing people so much. So then it has to wonder, what did he do those 2 years? He was still able to talk to her, I think. That's my theory right there, though, as to why he stopped talking to her. Also, the shocking moment for me would have to be the magnitude of the Hollow's power when two of them got together. I mean, we got to see when Klaus and Elijah were in close proximity together, when Rebecca and Elijah were in close proximity together. Not only did the plant life die around them, but the water turned to blood. But then not only in the area they were in, but it also transcended around the world to where it was happening in France, and then Rebecca and Marcel were seeing it in New York City. New Orleans was seeing it as well, and then it just the amount of it grew the longer they were in close proximity to each other. So that blew my mind. I wasn't expecting it to be such a global scale or to happen so often, to see it grow, that Rebecca and Marcel was just, they see it and they knew that Klaus was breaking the rules again, type of thing. So that was a surprise there, but it seems to be getting a lot worse now from the looks of it. But moving on to top 3 favorite moments, and my timer's about to go off. I totally failed in my 10-minute clock. But anyways, it's the premiere, so I'll try again next time. But my favorite moment has to be Marcel's proposal to Rebecca. That was absolutely amazing, sentimental, a real thought into it. He gave her 4 gifts and a question, 4 gifts that related to their history together. He gave her the wedding gown that she had her eyes on sometime in the past, and she didn't get it, but he saw her look at it with a "I want it" type of a look, even though she made comments about it, and he got it for her. He also had a photo of the house that he built for her with it as well. He also had the sword of from his childhood when he was fencing as a little kid, and he promised Rebecca, who he was fencing with at the time, that that he was going to marry her one day. And the 4th item was the engagement ring himself. And then the way he phrased her proposal too, he described her in a way that was that matched the gift he gave her. So I don't know specifically the wording, but he said, Rebecca Michael said, delicate as lace, and then I don't know what he used for the painting though, but I know he did like strong as iron or something, or I don't know. Quote will hopefully be on screen as you see right now, but I absolutely loved it. As like, I gushed over that. It's just like, dude put some thought into it, and it really hurt when she said no, but it was kind of expected because she has this strong loyalty towards her family. She, in a way, Rebecca can't truly be happy if she knows that her family is not happy in the process. Very opposite to what will happen with Cole, but anyways, I'm not going to talk about that. Which would lead me to my second favorite, and is the fact that Hope has video calls with Cole, and the dynamic you get between the two, it seems like a very routine, regular thing between them, and I absolutely love that. With that day and age, first off, it's like 2026, there should be a little bit more advancement in technology for them, just saying, but just a little bit, just to give us slight hope of what to look for. Maybe in the future. But anyways, with that technology, with what we have now with video chat, Skyping, emails, YouTube, web call, anything with the internet, we can still see people when we are like millions miles away. So I love that we were able to see that Hope and Cole were doing this they're taking advantage of that. And I really like they seem to update each other. I really like that Cole was able to be there for her, even though he can't physically be there for her. It was very different to how in season 4 he was the most absent of the 3 immortals when it came to Hope. So I really like that difference. I really like Cole got to make an appearance that way, and it was such a cool dynamic between the two, the uncle and the niece that way. It's just, and then the little nugget that he's married to Davina, and it's like, that was awesome, truly awesome. Next favorite moment has to be Klaus and Caroline. So long in the waking. Pretty much, they haven't seen each other in 14 years, I don't believe. Yeah, they didn't see each other until just before Hope was born. It was great to see them again. Great to see the dynamic. It was great also to see what Caroline would pick up from Klaus. Like, she noticed a lot of different things. She even told him some things about Hope, and how Caroline believes that Klaus is someone worth knowing, and that's why he should give his daughter that chance. It's great to see how she picked up on his systematic scheming, how it wasn't just random. She really showed how much she knew him, or at least knew how his mind worked in a sense, and it was fantastic to see that. It was also great to see Caroline, her neat freak tendencies with trying to clean up everything. There's also her pretty much summarizing what happened in the last 8 years for her in a nutshell, how she's a mother of twins, how she was married and widowed in a night, how she's the head mistress of an entire school of kids, and it was just like, yeah, you pretty much just summed everything up very quickly, and I love that. It was great to see Caroline again. With that, we also got to see Dorian for a bit as a teacher at the school, but I really hope we do see Caroline again. I really want that parent-teacher conference she brought up to him, so I really want to see that. Also, another favorite moment was the fact we got that unexpected phone call between Klaus and Hope when he was calling Haley's phone. You can see the shock on both their faces that they weren't truly believing that they were talking to each other at the moment after going 5 years without speaking to each other, which just bugs me just because you see Hope video chatting with Cole and yet Klaus can't do the same thing. Though again, I think with my theory, him consciously killing all of his enemies is a reason why he can't really talk to Hope without that seeping through, or that he thinks he's a bad influence on her or anything like that. So there's that as well. But I really like that brief moment you get of the two of them. You really get the surprise and just like the hesitance between them, and then how when he finds out that Haley is missing and Hope has no idea where she is, Klaus just makes a decision of like, okay, I'm coming home. Like, I got you in a sense. It's like, I wasn't there for you before. I'll be there for you now, especially since the person I entrusted with you can't be there at the moment to do so. So I can't wait for their reunion. I wonder if they reunite, if the fallout of the Hollow's power is the same extent as if it was Elijah and Klaus in the same room, like if it's that, or if it's going to be a different consequence to them being close together. So there's that. And then also another favorite of mine, I got a lot in this one. It's like, wow, still got goosebumps and everything. But was Klaus and Rebecca not only talking on the phone with each other, but their reaction to seeing Elijah again and seeing how happy he is without his memories, because it hurts them that he doesn't remember them, but they're also happy that he's able to find happiness in a sense. It was just interesting to have them on the phone talking to each other about Elijah, and then have them themselves have their small conversations with Elijah, and then of course unknowingly Elijah's response to them. It was just something I love, especially with all three of them in a scene together. Technically they weren't all in a scene together, but you know what I mean. I just really love the three of them. I mean, it started with the three of them. They were the first three originals we met back on the Vampire Diaries, so it all started with them. But anyways, moving on to top 3 peeve moments. The only peeve I really had was the fact that Haley got attacked. I mean, unexpectedly. It was also while she was making a phone call to Declan. It was also outside of the compound itself. Like, I thought it was just some random alleyway she just turned off to make a phone call about her being late, but she just stepped outside of her own home, which I really don't get why she had to make the phone call. So that's the only peeve I had right there. Moving on, what will I remember most when I look back on this episode? The fact that it's the premiere episode, that's a huge thing right there. The fact that it's the start of the huge time jump. The fact we got to see Caroline's return. So there's that. Moving on to random questions very quickly. My video is getting long. I was not expecting that. Well, I lied. I kind of did because it's been a while. But random questions. First one, does no one notice when the water turns to blood? I mean, I know our characters have noticed it, but what if it was just a regular human or some other supernatural creature that was in the same area? Do they not notice? Like, especially when it's raining blood. Do they not notice it? Do they not question it? Or is it just something that's just completely oblivious to them and only those in the know seem to notice? I mean, like, that can't be... You can't turn a blind eye against it raining blood everywhere. I thought it was just like maybe there's a dead body above of Vincent that was just there as a message, but the whole rain clouds flooding open with blood, it's like, no. That's like major Hollow trouble right there. So I'm wondering, how is no one human-wise or other supernatural being-wise not reacting to this? Or are we going to get a reaction to that later on? So there's that. Also, second question, who took Haley? Was it the vampires, the witches? I was thinking vampires just because they were getting retribution for Haley standing in their way to getting Henry. But then because she was attacked by magic, I'm thinking witches. Right? So I don't know really. So there's that. Third question, if Freya could do a hologram-like call with Keelan that allowed her to kind of looked like she was physically there while still on the phone with her, then why can't that happen with the other Michelsons having phone calls like that with each other? Or why can't Hope perform the same spell that Freya did and use it to quote-unquote meet her father or her aunts and her uncles that way, instead of just having a video call like she did with Cole? While I love that call, if Freya is able to do a spell that allows her to temporarily be in another place over long distances, why can't Hope learn the same spell and duplicate that same one to go meet her father, go meet her aunt or her uncles or stuff like that? That's the one question I'm really wondering about. It's like, you gave me a possibility of that with Freya, and yet you don't give the same one to Hope. I mean, that's a little loopy for me. Anyways, random question number 4. What business was Caroline already in France for? Was that a lie, or was she truly there on boarding school business? Or what other business could there be? I don't know, because it's Caroline, so I don't know. Last question. We saw how much the sire bond worked for Hope and Henry. I mean, she did tell him to calm down, and he immediately felt calm afterwards. I mean, is it possible that she could just order him to restrain his bloodlust until he learns that control Haley was talking about? I mean, if they fear that Henry's going to be a threat or an issue, why not use that sire bond for a bit to cover that basis until he knows how to control it, in a sense? So, that's it. Let's move on to predictions. Based off the promo for 502, it looks like Klaus is back in New Orleans, and so is Marcel as well, and they search for Haley. Also looks like Klaus tries to fix Hope's hybrid mistake. I think it's the hybrid mistake, because it did see Klaus cut in the same scene as Henry and Lucina as well, I think, if I read that right, or if I saw that right. But anyways, the synopsis for the episode reads that, well, quote, title, The Return to New Orleans, obviously. Anyways, when a mysterious disappearance brings Klaus back to New Orleans, so that's probably Haley, Hope looks forward to the prospect of seeing her father again. However, when the dark magic that had been keeping them apart begins to manifest in dangerous ways around the city, or across the city, Vincent turns to Ivy for guidance about what it may mean. Elsewhere, Marcel returns to New Orleans amidst increased tensions between the supernatural factions, while Freya makes a decision about her future with Keelan. Finally, Roman's surprise visit to the Michelson compound forces Hope to reveal some dark truths about her family. Also, Josh is set to appear as well. So it looks like Freya will finally make the decision of whether she's going to go see Keelan or not in Lebanon. It looks like Marcel might have to deal with the tensions between the vampires and the werewolves, especially when it comes to Henry. And the mysterious disappearance is definitely talking about Haley. So it's quite an epic start for the final season, that's for sure. I'm loving it already. Goosebumps minutes before it started, all the way to the very end. I'm excited to see what is in store, because so far, the way I'm seeing it is the major issue is going to be trying to figure out how to reunite the Michelsons, but also try to figure out how to get rid of the Hollow once and for all. I don't know if that's going to be the full overarching season villain, or overarching issue, like they reunite the Michelsons, but in doing so releases the Hollow again. So now they got to figure out a way to permanently deal with the Hollow. Or if dealing with the Hollow and bringing the Michelsons together unleashes another evil that they're going to have to get rid of by the end of the season. I don't know. But I truly think that once they reunite the Michelsons together, they're going to have to deal with how to deal with the Hollow once and for all. I don't know if that's going to be the final, last issue they have to deal with as a whole, or if it's going to spew something else out of that. So that's about it, guys. What did you guys think of the premiere? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions about what you think is going to happen next. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff all in one place. I really need to update that, though, so keep that in mind. But I've tried to organize it as best as I can. Since it is the final season, I'm going to continue the Livejournal entry recaps. It's a jotted down play-by-play of the episode with my in-moment thoughts, quotes I might have picked up while watching the episode. It definitely keeps things in mind for me, especially if I miss out on little details. But I hope you check that out if you need a little reminder boost. So give that a like as well. But that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back to see what I have to say for the rest of the final season. But until next time, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.